All right, I got some multiple choice questions. We'll just go through. If there's, well, I should start. Is there anything that you guys feel uncomfortable with before we even get started that you'd want me to explain? No? All right, let's do some questions. The changes in short-run aggregate supply can be caused by, I'll give you a minute. Okay, Jordan, what do you have for this?
I said A.
A, wages. Wages would be what shifter? You're correct.
Resources.
Resources. And what are the other two shifters of supply?
Actions in government and productivity.
Okay, good job. If there's a question on a question, just stop me. All right, give you like 2-3 minutes to look. So the Fed sells $1,000 bond. The reserve requirement is 0.1. What would the change in immediate deposits be? Change in immediate money supply, change in immediate excess reserve, and change in which this bank that gave out the $1,000. Okay. All right, Jake, what would the change in immediate deposits, so the change in deposits for this bank, if the Fed sells $1,000 bond?
Oh, $1,000.
Now is the, all right, so Jake, if the Fed sells $1,000 bond, this bank, what's going to happen to the bond section for this bank? So it could increase or decrease.
It'll increase because they'll get the bond, right?
Right. So I'm going to change that 1 to a 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what is the bank going to give the Fed for the bond?
Excess reserves.
Yeah, money, right? That's in the excess. So now I'm going to take this 1,000 and I got to change it to 0, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did deposits change?
No.
All right, so deposits, the immediate effect on deposits is 0. Okay,
All right.
all right. Now, Mr. Crenshaw, what's the change for this bank in money supply?
$10,000?
How much?
10,000?
Okay,
Immediately
But
it's 1,000.
it's 1,000, right? They lost the excess reserves is just 1,000. Okay. Brian, the change in excess reserves for this bank?
It loses 1,000.
Okay. And Brian, while I still have you, the change in what this bank could loan out?
It would go down 1,000.
Okay. Any questions anyone has on this part? All right. Let's see what we got next. All right, so no change, we said decreases, change in excess reserve minus. Okay. Now, if the Fed sells $1,000 bond, it's still 0.1. What's the change in deposits for the entire system? Change in reserve requirement for the entire system? Change in money supply for the entire system? I'll give you a minute or two to think about it. All right, Jordan, what do you have for change in deposits for the entire system?
Is it just 1,000?
It's 1,000 times the multiplier,
Oh, okay, so that's 10,000.
right? Okay. Most of the time, when they ask you for the entire system, the multiplier is going to come into effect, okay? All right,
So
so
when would it not come into effect? Because you said most of the time.
well, sometimes like in the reserve requirement, because if I back up here, there would have been no change in the reserve requirement, right? Because there was no change in deposits. But if the system loses $10,000 in demand deposits, there's going to be a change in the reserve requirement. So I would think this is the only exception. Jake, what would be the change in the entire reserve requirements?
Um, yeah, I said it doesn't change.
All right, but if deposits decrease by 10,000,
Oh, wait. Decrease by 1,000?
yes, 10% of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And then Mr. Crenshaw, the change in the money supply would be what? For the entire system,
10,000?
10,000. Okay? Any questions on that? All right. So when the Fed sells, you do the same formula as it buys. It's just a minus for the system. All right, let's see what we have next. All right, that's just kind of what we talked about. All right, if nominal wages fall, then short run aggregate. Brian, what do you have for this?
I have A.
A. All right, short run aggregate supply ships right. Wages are a resource, as Jordan said at the beginning. Wages fall. Producers are making more money then, so they want to supply more. Short run aggregate supply shifts right. Okay. Okay. The interest rate effect is the tendency for a change in price level to affect. Give you a minute. Let me move this over maybe a little. Okay. Okay, Jordan, what do you have here?
Um, I think it's C.
All right, if price levels go up, Jordan, do you need more or less money in your pocket?
You're probably gonna need more.
You're going to need more. If you need more money in your pocket, what's that going to do in the money supply graph?
Um, money supply should go up because you need more money.
How that? Let me just go. All right, first of all, you have the right answer. Okay, C
Right.
is the right answer. But if this is the money supply graph, all right, what's going to shift?
I think he said because you said you need more money, so I think I said money goes up, so then money demand shifts right.
So, all right, so you're saying money demand shifts, right? Okay, that's
Yeah.
correct. All right, I didn't know, I thought you meant money supply. Money demand does shift right. You're correct. So interest rates go up. If interest rates go up, Jordan, what happens to investment and consumption?
You want to invest more.
Think about it. If interest rates go up, do people want to borrow more or less money?
Oh, they want to borrow less, but wouldn't they want to invest more because there's higher return rate?
Okay. Remember, when we're talking in economics, investment is like capital stock, factories, machines. It's businesses buying things.
Okay, so it's not like literal investing.
No. The
Okay.
only time
I
you
always thought of it as like I don't know why I always like I'm stuck in like the stock market world because
no.
I always thought of investing as like, if it's higher interest, you get a higher return, so invest more.
Now, the only time you think that way is when we're talking about international.
Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, in international, you want high interest rates. Otherwise, you want low interest rates. And even for consumers, because they rather have low interest rates if they want to buy a car or remodel their house or things like that that cost a lot of money.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, anyone else, any other questions on this? Okay. All right, these are just the shifters, just a quick reminder, and we went over those shifters, so we're good on that. All right, an advance in technology will cause the, give you like 30 seconds for this one. Okay, Jake, what do you have here?
E.
E. Jake, could an E been something else and still been right?
What'd you say?
Could E be a different answer but still been right?
Um, could it be short run aggregate supply shifting to the right?
Yes, right? That would have been correct too.
Okay.
Either one. Okay, good job. Which of the following would cause the short run aggregate supply to shift to the right? Okay, give you a minute. Okay, Brian Perry, what do you have here?
I think that it's E.
Did you think it's E because you think that's the right answer, or do you think it's E because A, B, C, and D don't make sense to you?
Well, I know that it can't be A. And then D, I figured was the long run aggregate supply.
And which way would that shift? Which way would that shift the long run aggregate supply?
To the left.
Yeah. Okay.
And then C kind of seemed like it was more of a long run aggregate supply thing also. So I was
The
really
long run
torn
aggregate
between what?
the long run aggregate supply is the natural rate of unemployment, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would also shift it to the left, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was torn between B and E. So when I thought it through, I figured it would be E because the companies could negotiate for lower wages.
Right. So that's exactly it. And by the way, it's question 58, which is, they're saying, one of the hardest questions on the test. So there would be a decrease in the expected price level. So you go from A up here to B, and then kind of like Brian said, at B, you're making less output, you need less workers, the demand for workers are down. So therefore, wages decrease and you shift supply to the left. And that's what they wanted there. Okay. I mean, I think E is a hard one to figure out, but I think if you knock out the distractors, you could get there. Any questions on that one?
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Go.
So what would expected price level fall under as far as wrap goes?
It really, okay, when you get to when I was to the left of the equilibrium, right? Jordan?
Yes, right.
Where it gets to wrap is when the demand for workers decreases, wages go down. So the resource of wages going down shifts the SRAS to the right. It's not the
Okay.
expected price level, it's what happens to get to the long run that shifts it to the right.
Okay.
Okay? What did you pick there, Jordan?
I also picked E.
Oh, okay. Did you pick it by knocking out A, B, and C, and D?
Yeah, well, it wasn't A, it would have to be decrease, and then B,
Right.
interest rate doesn't shift it. D doesn't shift it, and then C didn't really make sense.
Okay. All right. Good job. All right. Which of the following would be initial impact on the economy if wages were to increase more than productivity? Mr. Crenshaw, what do you have here?
I'm thinking that the short run aggregate supply curve would shift to the left.
It would shift to the left. Mr. Crenshaw, do you remember what we call when supply shifts to the left, increasing prices and decreasing output?
That's cost push inflation.
Cost push inflation, and there's another name for it. Do you remember?
Stagflation.
Stagflation. Good job. Okay. All right. Suppose the banking system does not hold excess reserves and the reserve ratio is 25%. If Melanie deposits 1,000 of cash into a checking account, the banking system can increase money supply by.
Mr. Bressler,
Yes.
how many how many multiple choice questions are there this year?
On the AP exam,
Yes.
60,
Okay, and then how long do we have?
70 minutes.
Okay, sweet. Thank
So,
you.
Jordan, every test we have taken this year has been timed to the equivalent of the AP exam. So like I've been giving you 30 questions for 33 minutes. Okay. So
Right.
if you've been doing okay that way, you should be okay. Now I put like the practice test for the final, I put a practice AP exam on there. You know, that's the practice test. It
Right.
might be worth it for you to time yourself. Even if you're just doing it like 30 questions at a time or 20 questions, just give yourself 20, like 20 times a minute in a 10, and the final is going to be, even though they're in 30 question intervals, because we don't have enough time, I'm going to give you 30 questions in 33 minutes. So you're going to get kind of the same feel.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Jake, what do you have for this?
I got C.
C, 3,000, right? And she deposits 1,000, 250 goes in excess. I mean, into reserve requirement, 750 in excess. 1 over 0.25, because it was 2 point, the multiplier is 4, and there you go. Okay. I'd say on the final, there's like 3 or 4 questions very similar to that one. Okay. So could I just get this down a little so you could read E? Okay, Jordan, what do you have for this?
I have B.
B, decrease the demand for money. All right, just remember, like, the demand for money is, do you need more or less money in your pocket? And obviously here you need less. Any questions? Okay. Let me see if I can move you guys here. Okay. Okay, Brian, what do you have here?
E.
Okay. All right. So if you shift supply to the right, like they said, right, and what happens? Whoops. I'll be right back. Okay. What happens is you have more output, and anytime GDP increases, income. So remember, real GDP and income for real GDP is the expenditures. It's how much people spend on things. Someone's spending $1, anyone else makes $1. Since then, we're also making more product. We need more workers. So E is it. I think of this axis as GDP, employment, and income. So they all move together. If GDP goes up, income and employment goes up. Employment. And then if GDP goes down, income and employment go down. Any questions? All right, I like to keep this to a half hour, so I'm just going to give you one more multiple choice question. We actually did this, right? Of course, Mr. Crenshaw answered this one. So let me get you a different one. There you go. Last question of the night. Mr. Crenshaw, what do you have here?
think C.
C, aggregate demand decreases because people have less money to spend because they're paying more in taxes, and it has no effect on supply. C it is. All right. Do you guys have any questions on anything? Jordan, I'll start with you. Any questions?
Yeah, can you please go over this last one?
Yeah. Jordan, what section are you in?
3.
Okay. All right. So income taxes, if your income taxes go up, Jordan, you have less money to spend, right?
Right.
All right. So therefore consumption goes down. So AD decreases. But it has no effect on aggregate supply. It's not part of RAP.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Jake,
Yeah.
Okay. Jake, any questions on anything?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Jake, what's your section?
I'm in the same section as Jordan. I think that's 4, but I'm not sure.
Okay. So Jordan got that wrong. Oh, by the way, if you did well on these questions, they're all the AP questions. All right. Every single one of them. So if you did well meaning like 8 out of 10, because 8 out of 10 is a 5. You know, if you got 8 out of 10 on these, you're in good shape. Okay. And, you know, again, if you get an 80 on the final, you get a 90, right? Because I'm putting in the curve. So like if we're shooting, you know, for an 80 to get a 90, that would be good. So if you did well. And tomorrow, I really think I picked out some good FRQ problems, you know, to review tomorrow night, if you could make that. Brian, what section are you?
I'm section 4.
4-2. All right, any questions on anything?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Crenshaw, are you 4 also? You still here, Mr. Crenshaw?
I'm in 3.
You're in 3. Do you have any questions?
Not really.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, guys. I hope it was helpful to go over, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.